if I was teaching a bunch of high school kids, I said, when you leave school here today, the big question in your mind is, what kind of income do I want for the rest of my life? Well, I wanted passive. Mm-hmm. And the average person, because they have a job, is working for earned income, which is the highest tax. You get tired working for that. So when you look at, again, the Rich Dad financial statement here, income, expense, assets, and liabilities. Okay, so earned income is this here. That's earned. Okay. When you work for, and then the problem with that income is tax. Then if you're working for portfolio income, you're generally working for this. You buy a stock for, let's say, Apple for $10, and it goes to $50, and you sell it. The trouble with that, again, is tax. But if you're working for passive income, which your mom and dad work for, this is passive income here. Okay, it's cash flow, it's also called. So that's why I have the cash flow board game pictured here. So all I wanted was passive income. So what I have today is I have about 7,000 rental properties. I have hotels, golf courses, oil, and all this. But again, it goes back to these three types of income: earned, portfolio, and passive. So if I was talking to a bunch of high school kids, or even elementary school kids, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you asked the question, because I think a lot of the young people can think now, say, well, why am I in school? I don't know. You know, if you just want to work hard and pay taxes on earned income and flip real estate or flip houses, then you're working for portfolio.
Yeah.
I don't flip.
Yeah.
That's a very big difference. I don't like to buy low and sell high. That's flipping. That's called capital gains. I vote, which is portfolio. I vote for cash flow, which is passive. And I can turn capital gains into passive. I mean, it gets crazier and crazier and crazier from there on, but I'm glad you asked the question. There's three kinds of money today that you guys got to be aware of. One is God's money, and God's money is gold and silver. So this is silver, and this is gold. The reason I brought it is most people don't know what it looks like. And then there's government money, which is fiat currency, which is the dollar, the yen, the peso, the euro, the yuan.
Yeah.
Fake. And everybody's working hard for it. It's like eating fake food or drinking fake water. That's why people are getting sick financially, because they're working for fake money.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's fake assets, which was another part of the fake millennial, the fake generation series. But the reason I brought this here is most people haven't seen it. This here is real silver, plata. Okay. That's what it looks like. And so in 1972, and this here is gold.
Yeah.
This is God's money. This is what God's money looks like.
Yeah.
The reason I call it God's money is you can't fake it. You know, you can fake it with a fake ETF, like a gold ETF or a silver, which I don't touch because it smells as bad as the guys that printed that crap. You know what I mean? Jesus. But this is real money. So you look at this here. When I first started buying that was $1.40.
Yeah.
Today, that's $16. And this here is oro, gold. And the reason we brought it in is most people haven't seen or touched. This is real. This is God's money. Why did I say it's God's money? Because it was here when the earth was created.
Yeah.
And it'll be here when we're all dead and gone. When you're saving those fake dollars, this will still be here.
Yeah. Or
those fake ETFs or those fake stocks. So this here is called the green box. There's 500 of these little tubes like this.
Wow.
500 coins in here. And this is one, which is worth more.
Which one's worth more? The gold.
Yeah, this is worth more than all that. Yeah. Now, the reason I say this is because for your generation, this could be the biggest opportunity you'll ever see. I'm not making any commissions on this stuff.
Yeah, of course.
But if you look at what happened with the fake central bank. See, the purpose of the central bank or the Fed or all, the Japanese bank, the Bank of Japan, or the European Central Bank, they pump out fake money. The purpose of central banks like the Fed is to protect the banks, not you. They're a criminal operation as far as I'm concerned. You're going to find that most of my talks is about the Fed. So I would recommend you guys buy this stuff. Don't save money. Don't save government money, because they're corrupt as hell, as you know. Save God's money. The young people like you leave school thinking, oh, if I know the right answers, then there's no risk. And it drives old guys like me crazy. Because everybody's talking about millennials. What's wrong with them? Millennials are the most highly, in many ways, the most highly educated generation in history. They have the cell phone. They didn't get educated in school. They got educated on social media, on the cell phones. They know all the answers, but they're afraid of doing anything. The biggest complaint about my generation is millennials know all the answers, but they can't do anything. And the reason they can't do anything is because you might hurt somebody's feelings, you might make a mistake, and that just keeps you guys just trapped in this little box here. So that's one of the reasons I think millennial money is such an important point here, because if you're going to come into my world, old guy's world, or the information age, you've really got to understand what is risky and what is not risky. And in my world, if you play it safe, that makes you stupid. Because if you don't take risks, you don't get smarter. So you may know the answer, but you can't do anything. And one of the best things I had is I went to military school, then I went to flight school. I had such great teachers, All of them could fly. So my flight instructor could fly. What a novel idea. A flight instructor can fly. But when I was in high school, most of my teachers were terrified. They're all cowards, job security. Don't make mistakes. Just memorize the right answer and you'll be safe. And that's why most school teachers aren't rich. And they teach that to your generation today. So I got this job at Xerox. The same story you have is I got my little handy dandy sales planner up. I'm dying. Let's say there's 20 sales guys at the Xerox branch at Honolulu. I'm dying. I'm like, and this guy Sanchez flies in from Western Region, Santa Ana. He looks at my sales thing, and I got all these appointments, but no sales. And I'm going to get fired. So I said, I can't. I'm working hard, but I'm going to get fired. Because I had no sales. So I go. My rich dad's office was at Waikiki, so I go to rich dad's office and I show him my planner. He looks at it. He goes, "Okay." He says, "Let me ask you this. How many?" And I had to knock on doors. I had no established accounts. The FNGs and the FNU guy has to always cold call. That's as brutal as it comes. So I'm cold calling in Honolulu. I'm getting nowhere, but I'm making a lot of cold calls. So I show my rich dad my sales planner, just like you do with your guys. And I said, my rich dad says, "Well, it's obviously why you're failing." I said, "Why is that?" He says, "You're not failing enough." He says, "If you want to become successful, you have to step up your failure rate." I went, "What?" Because in my poor dad's family, the academics family, PhDs and all this, failure means you're not successful. And to my rich dad, failure meant you were getting successful. So his advice to me, and I'm working for Xerox, I'm probably 28 years old. He goes, "You got to step up your failure rate. Find a way to fail faster." So that's when you get creative. I can only make so many sales calls a day. Do you know why they tell you to save money?
I don't know.
Because the system of banking, it's nothing to do with communism or capitalism. It's the banks run the world. The rich run the world. They don't care if you're communist or capitalist. So when you save, let's say you save $1 US or €1, 1 yen, the banking system can lend out 10. So the entire system is called the fractional reserve system. The fractional reserve system is also printing money. And then they tell you to save money. So they want you to save money so they can lend out your money 10 times. So your dollar became worthless 10 times over. And then they used to pay you 10% interest on your money. Now it's at best 1%. And they're still lending it out 10 times. So that's why you don't save money, is because your money is becoming worth less and less and less and less and less. The banks are getting richer and richer and richer. Then they tax you on that interest they pay you. That 1% interest, if they pay you that much. Japan is 0. And the Japanese are so stupid, they still save money.
We also have 0.
Yeah, and they still save money. How stupid is that? So that's what I would question. So how come that happens? Now, if I borrow money, guess what? Do I pay taxes on debt?
I guess no.
Why is that?
I know
This is what I'm saying, okay? Question everything.
Okay.
So when they lend out money, that's how money is created. Money is debt. Why is debt tax-free?
I don't know.
Because that's how money is created. And so the banks love it. They love people who borrow lots of money. So how do I get rich? I borrow money and I buy assets with it. The poor person borrows money and buys liabilities like purses, cars, houses, and they get poorer and poorer and poorer. But I use debt. I borrowed $300 million after the crash, dollars. In 2000, by 2010, I had borrowed $300 million to buy real estate that made me rich. And the interest rates kept coming down, so that my cost of money kept coming down. And so everybody else is saying, oh, you should get out of debt. You know why? Because they don't question the hypnosis they're under. You've been hypnotized to work hard for money, to save it. The fractional reserve system prints it. And then you pay taxes after taxes. So I have all this debt, and I get rich. Who wants to live below their means? I want to live the best life I can possibly live. So I talk about this often. I use liability. If I want to buy a new Ferrari, I first buy an asset, and the asset pays for the Ferrari. I wanted a Rolls Royce. Why? Because I never had a Rolls Royce. I've had Bentleys. So I built an asset, and the asset then bought my Rolls Royce. Now I'm kind of bored with cars. So I don't have a guilty thing, is that I have financial education, which is what the Rich Dad Company teaches. And you can have the same thing too. You just have to stop listening to those school teachers who are poor. You know, most school teachers, like my poor dad, very good people, but they're so terrified of making mistakes. They want a steady paycheck, and they want a guaranteed pension. I don't think you can get rich from that point of view. Look at this chart here. It's called the cash flow quadrant. E and S, employee and self-employed. That was my poor dad. You know, these guys work for money. These guys are not capitalists. They work for money and they invest their own money. On the B and the I side is my rich dad side. That's the capitalist side. Capitalists use other people's labor and other people's money to get rich. Which side do you want to be on? I'd rather be on the capitalist side. So that's the only difference. It's a whole shift of mindset and education, but everybody can do it if you want to do it. Real estate is a very important asset class. So a lot of people think, well, I have stocks, I have bonds, I have mutual funds, but they're just assets. But real estate is, to me, the single most important asset class to study, especially today, since I just was watching CNBC, Bubble Vision, and they finally acknowledge that Zillow has a 7,000 property problem because they flip property. And naturally, I tax, and I don't flip property. I hold property forever. I collect rent forever, and I pay no taxes. So if you like paying taxes, then, don't invest in real estate. If you like paying taxes, have a 401k, biggest ripoff I've ever seen. But so that's why real estate as an asset class in the macro picture globally is the single most important subject, but also the most complex. And the reason it's complex is if you buy, let's say, Apple stock, and you make a mistake, let's say you buy Apple at Tesla at $1,000 or something. You buy a Tesla at $1,000 and it starts to crash, you can get out tonight. You can get out immediately. But you buy a piece of real estate, you can't get out. So in financial literacy, which most school teachers have no idea what that means, the word is called liquidity. And the reason real estate needs to be studied more than any other subject, other than entrepreneurship, is liquidity. You start a business, you can't get out if you make a mistake. If you buy a piece of real estate, you can't get out. The big mistake that people make is they say these words here. Sales and marketing. It's inaccurate. Again, it's the power of the word. Okay? The real thing that I was trained as, the way it really goes is first it goes PR. It's really a philosophy above it. So PR is public relations. PR is when I'm I'll be in Newsweek next week, Time Magazine next week. I fly to New York on Tuesday to do a television show with web broadcast with Steve Forbes. Coming out with a book with Donald Trump and things like that. It's all PR stuff. Marketing is kind of the spreadsheet between it. Marketing plans, testing and all that. It's like an accounting spreadsheet. And then there's a sale. So when times get really, really tough, what's the first thing that most businesses cut back on? PR, marketing, so they have no sales. It's really stupid. So what we're doing in our company is we're upping it 10 times. Okay. So I went and I spent 4 years learning how to sell. The reason I recommend network marketing is if you can't sell, you can't do the rest of the stuff. Is that right? That's why I recommend it. Okay, you've got to know how to communicate today. People who are poor cannot communicate. Okay? So I spent 4 years here and I found that I sucked at it. Really terrible. But I went from the worst salesman to number one just by sheer determination. Overcoming my fear, my embarrassment, and I get my feedback, my stats. And pretty soon I was making more in a month than most people were making in a year. That was the thing. And the biggest thing I learned about sales was the reason most people aren't successful is they haven't failed enough times. So for me to become successful at sales, when I worked for Xerox, I was making about 4 sales calls a day. I'd dial for an appointment and I'd go in, they'd say no, and I'd go eat lunch. And I'd go back in, they'd say no, I'd eat lunch. I'd go in, say no, I'd eat lunch. I gained 40 pounds. And I talked to my rich dad, I said, why am I failing at sales? He says, because you're not failing enough. He says, if you want to be successful in life, you have to step up your failure rate. So at night, I would leave the Xerox office about 6, and I'd go across town to a nonprofit, and I'd dial for dollars. And I wanted to get 30 no's a night, as fast as I could. And the more I failed, the more my sales went up. Does that make sense, you guys here? Yes. Hello? Yes. I went, wow. So the reason most people are not successful is because they haven't failed enough. So please discuss that really quick. It doesn't make a difference what it is. It could be golf, tennis, sales, marketing, anything.
One day I had this transformational event. I did a thing called EST, Earhart Seminars Training. Everybody did it, and all this. And I sat in this room and I realized I was a liar. And I realized that's why I'd never be successful, because I could lie, cheat, and steal, and I was very good at it. And so I called up Captain Abrams, and I was living in Hawaii, in Waikiki. I was making a lot of money in real estate. And I called Captain Abrams, and I said, Captain, I'm coming in. He said, what do you mean you're coming in? I said, I'm going to come in. I will tell you what I know. He couldn't believe it. I just realized if I didn't confess my sins, as a Catholic would say, I'd go to hell. Hell is not in hell. Hell is I live with my lying, cheating, stealing every day of my life. So I took the stand and he deposed me. I told him the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I told him every criminal event. They weren't really criminal, they were petty thieves. I did stupid things like fly this, did this, I machine gun goats from my helicopter. And I said, I did all this. At the end of it, 3.5 hours, I think I lost 20 pounds. And he said, I said to him, he says, Captain, he goes, I'm going to go to jail. He says, no, just thank you for telling the truth. He gave me an honorable discharge. And it was one of the most profound, transformational, metamorphosis. You go from an immature form to an adult form. I grew up. I said, holy mackerel, the truth will set you free. I understand that at a level that the average person will never know, because I had been such a scumbag, dishonest, disciplinary problem. And then, like with my wife, I've never cheated on her. Most of my friends cheat on their wives, 70% do. But when I said I'd get married this time, I would not cheat on her. Marriage is still hard, but cheating makes it worse, if you know what I mean. So it's a matter of not trying to change the world out there. The crisis is between this here and this here, and in your heart. And that's why being a military leader or wartime leader is important, because it's about courage at this time. It's about being truthful, being forthright, being upright, being a stand-up guy. That's the difference today. And it's not about what the crooks are doing, it's what you're doing.
If you understand how money is created, money is credit and debt. That's all it is. Credit, debt, and taxes. That's what money really is. Mm-hmm. But they don't teach you that in school. So today, the reason the world economy is crashing goes all the way back to 71. But what happened in 71, they could just make fake money, and they can keep printing fake money. And this is the US dollar. The US can keep printing fake money for a number of years yet. Mm-hmm. And the only way they could keep the economy expanding, they had to find people stupid enough to get into debt. So as you know, one of the most, I didn't have this as a kid, it's called a credit card. Now everybody has credit cards, but they never teach you how to use it.
Yeah.
Now, why did they have a credit card? It's because they needed more money. So they keep expanding the economy. They keep finding people stupid enough to just get into debt. So give them credit cards and all this and say, well, you give auto loans. But I think the most dastardly thing for your generation was in 2009 when President Obama went to the banks and said, look, we need to get the students more into debt under the guise of you need to get a good education. And that's what happens if you have no basic financial education. Whether you're old or young, if you're stupid, you're stupid. Just don't worry about it. The market will take care of you. And the difference is that in my generation, it was real estate. So I took real estate courses. I've never lost money in real estate. I've made fortunes in it. Do you know? I'm an insider because I do I don't touch REITs, REITs, real estate investment. I don't trust paper. I handle my own. I've started my own gold mine in China. Unfortunately, the Chinese took it. That was a lesson. And I started my own silver mine in Argentina. So I understand mining. So all of these guys, my friends who are in crypto, now tell me they expect about 15,000 new ICOs. So this, basically all it takes is a brain and some electricity and a computer, and you can create your own crypto. So could Bitcoin be toast also? Possibly. So when I told this guy I bought Bitcoin when it dropped from 65 to 50, he says it's going to go to $5. I said, it might. The difference is I can afford to lose that money. But that's called, I'm speculating. So this is, in my world as a professional investor, I'm in the acquisition phase. I'm taking a position. I've taken a position in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Every time it looks like it's getting a little cheaper, I'll buy it. I'll buy it. So I saw Bitcoin at 20,000, I think it was, and it dropped to 7, and I waited, and when it came to 9, I bought. So today, let's say it's 50. I'm still in the money. And if it goes to 40, I'm going to buy more. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely. Could some hodler coin take off? Yeah. Could there be another pets.com of crypto? Absolutely. But the difference is I'm in the acquisition. I've taken a position. I took a position in silver and gold. I have millions, not in this country, but I don't have any paper. I don't have any ETFs. I only take the real stuff. Because as I said, the Perth Mint can't deliver on silver. If a mint can't deliver on silver, who do you trust? And so with all of these young kids coming up going to invent the next Bitcoin, I don't doubt they will. I don't doubt one of those 10,000 new crypto may blow Bitcoin and Ethereum out of the water. And if that happens, I'll make my switch. But until then, I'm like I was with gold and silver. I'm in acquisition. I've taken a position. When I sell, it's called distribution. So as a professional, not a speculator, and I don't flip houses because I think that's really stupid because it's such high risk to flip a house. But today, everybody's flipping houses because the price of real estate is going through the roof. I was talking to the guy who cuts my hair. He says, I finally bought a house. I offered $100,000 over the price. I'm going, holy moly. It's a mania. There's booms, bust, and mania. Real estate is in a mania because of this. Because interest rates are so low, so not only are stocks going up, real estate's going up. And everybody's jumping in. When this happens, the idiots jump in. And that's what's happening right now. So Bitcoin is the same way. So when it took a dip, I bought more. Can it go lower? Yes, I'll buy more. But there's one big difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum and real estate. Bitcoin and Ethereum are liquid, means I can get out. If I realize that there's a new NFC, what do they call them, or a new guy's going to take out Bitcoin, I can get out. But with real estate, the trouble with real estate, if it goes down, you're the skipper of the Titanic. You're going to ride that baby all the way down. So real estate is not liquid. At least stocks are liquid. But that poor bus driver dropped from liquid stocks into liquid bonds. He's got no place to go. So when I talk to him about possibly gold, silver, or crypto, no, he's an old guy, he's an old guy. So they're all related. So in this world of money, they're all related. It's like we're all related somehow on this whole planet. And so that's the world of money today. So that's real financial education. If you realize you cannot make a prediction, especially today, because nobody knows what's going to happen until it happens. The question is, are you prepared for when it happens? So I love Bitcoin because if I realize there's a hot new coin coming along, I can get out. But in real estate, I'm stuck in it. So those are some of the differences between investors, acquisition, taking a position, and distribution. I can distribute my Bitcoin and gold and silver quickly. I cannot distribute my real estate that quickly or my businesses. So those are some of the differences, and that's real financial education. The thing I've said before, and I'll say it again because some people need to hear it, your generation, this thing called, my cell phone, didn't come out until 2007.
Yeah.
The millennial generation was given the most powerful single tool ever given to any generation. And what are you guys using this thing for? To Twitter, to social? I don't know what you guys do with this thing, but I love this thing. I mean, I'm on YouTube constantly. I find the best teachers in the world out there. I mean, I don't know why anybody would go to college because the best teachers are on YouTube for free.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned, and it's not that the teacher is the best. The thing I love about YouTube is I can get one person says X and the guy that says no, that's Y. And so I'll listen to both sides. But that's where your intelligence grows because both sides have a point of view. And I listen to both sides. But if you're in college, you got to listen to one idiot who's boring, And I really did not like school, you can tell.
Yeah.
First of all, is I didn't want to become an employee. Every time the teacher says, go to school and get a job. And I said, but I don't want a job. and it didn't make sense to me because I had a rich dad. My poor dad was an employee. He was a good one. But personally, I didn't want to become an employee. But your generation now must. That's the difference.
Yeah.
You must. You don't have that option. I don't know if you know, but there was a sheik or something right after 9/11. They murdered him here in Phoenix.
Yeah, Sikh. Yeah, Balbir Singh Sodhi was the first Sikh killed after the 9/11 attacks.
Yeah, and people, when they go nuts, which we did in Vietnam, we did things you're not supposed to do. But when you say your friend's dying, you change. And until you see that, or until you walk a mile in my shoes, you know what it's like.
So you're just talking from experience, things that you've seen.
Correct.
Things that you've wished you would have known, things that you have, seen along the way that it's just.
But you can't know, you don't know much when you're young, I mean, I meet young people today. I can't believe how stupid they are. But then when I look back upon my own record, I make them look intelligent. I was so stupid.
Well, yeah, I mean, you had your rich dad, and that you kind of look up to.
And that's why I understand. That's why when I talk about YouTube, I listen to both sides. There are hardcore communist school teachers on YouTube. It takes every